Hey guys, Dr. Axe here. Today I want to talk to you about how you can start practicing TCM and Ayurveda, that's traditional Chinese medicine, and Ayurveda. And if you're a person who loves advanced nutrition and health like me, you're going to love these core principles because what we know in the West today, Western medicine, is very little. We're looking at things that are all funded by pharmaceutical companies versus traditional Chinese medicine, Ayurvedic medicine are both over 3,000 years old, and they're really some of the first forms of holistic medicine, really looking at our bodies, helping our bodies heal using everything from essential oils to herbs and spices to lifestyle as our natural forms of medicine. So I want to talk about some ways you can start practicing that. Number one, Ayurveda and TCM really recommend using herbs and spices as medicine. In fact, did you know that most medications today were created by taking an individual compound out of an herb or spice and then trying to make a synthetic form of it and then selling that as a pill? That's how medications were formed, but what they're missing is all of the other compounds and sort of the natural ingredients there. Think about this, the benefits of eating a whole blueberry versus eating high fructose corn syrup. That's kind of what you're doing when you're taking medications today. You're taking high fructose corn syrup rather than the blueberry that has antioxidants and enzymes and phytonutrients and everything else. In Ayurveda and TCM, they recommend doing lots of herbal teas and herbs and spices as your forms of medicine. Did you know that if we're comparing the nutrient density of turmeric or ginger and cinnamon and rosemary, these basic spices and herbs, to broccoli and cauliflower, turmeric blows kale out of the water in its nutrient density. So when we say food is medicine, it's most true with herbs and spices. We have about 1/8 of the antioxidant and herb consumption in America and in Europe compared to India, the Middle East, and Asia, especially areas like China and India. We're not getting near enough herbs and spices in our diet, and your health is suffering because of it. So tip number one, hey, you want to live that Ayurvedic or that TCM lifestyle, make sure to get a lot more herbs and spices in your diet. Throw turmeric in your burger meat. Throw cumin in your hummus. Add a lot of rosemary and basil and oregano to your chicken. Get more herbs and spices. That's the number one thing you can start doing to live that TCM and Ayurvedic lifestyle. Number two, you want to start seasonal eating seasonally. In the spring, you want to eat a lot more vegetables, big salads and foods that are sour, apple cider vinegar, lemons and limes. That's especially through March and April. You want to get a lot of green foods that are green and sour and fresh like salads. In the summer, you want to get more warming foods. Think different types of Spanish or Mexican dishes that are going to have some warming spices, some salsa, but do more of that, what are called fire element, in Chinese medicine, but more of those warming dishes, doing fresh organic corn, things like that, but doing more of those warming in the winter. In the fall, you want to consume a lot of foods that are orange in color, so pumpkins, sweet potatoes, doing actually lamb and grass-fed beef that are sort of that reddish and orangish color, but foods that are orange and red are great in the fall for building your health. And then in the winter, doing foods that are very dark in color and pungent and salty. So seaweed, it's blueberries, raspberries, it's doing black rice, but foods that are very dark in nature. Think foods that are also pungent, known as umami. Those are in the wintertime. That's all part of that seasonal eating, and you can look up a seasonal eating chart and start eating seasonally. That's another way that you can be following those Ayurvedic and TCM Chinese medicine principles. Number three, know your element and know your dosha. So in Chinese medicine, they have the 5 elements. Now I'm what's known as a wood element, which means my body is very wiry, and I have certain characteristics. When I come into conflict and things don't go my way, I tend to become impatient and frustrated. Whereas someone else who's what's known as an earth element in Chinese medicine might be worried. If somebody's a metal element, they might have grief or depression. Someone else might get really fired up or have anxiety. Know yourself. What emotion do you deal with when you come into conflict? That's part of your element, and actually there's certain foods that are better for you, and you can eat for your element there as well. So remember that, eating for your element, or the doshas. It's called Vata, Pitta, Kapha, and I'm a Vata. It's very lean body type. Think about Vatas are like wide receivers, Pittas are linebackers, and Kaphas are like offensive or defensive linemen. But based on that, you have a different type of metabolism than other people. And Ayurveda and Chinese medicine know that, so they recommend different foods based on your element or your dosha. So again, eat for your type. Number 4 principle of traditional Chinese medicine and Ayurveda, and by the way, this extends to the Bible and biblical medicine in the Middle East and all areas of the East. It's having a community mindset. So many of us in Western society, this is very Roman and Greek in our thinking. It's about self-actualization and living for ourselves. It's about our own happiness. That's a principle that will leave you empty inside. We should be living for others, serving, loving others. It's not about growing yourself. It's about growing and benefiting your community. So one of the things that you might be always thinking about is, how do I grow and improve myself? You always want to be growing and improving yourself in terms of what you read and grow and do, but what will actually help you grow the most, it's sort of counterintuitive, is focusing on serving others, loving others, help others reach their dreams and goals, which in turn will come back to you. Now in Ayurveda, they would have called it karma, okay? In the Bible, they would have called it reaping what you sow. But all that being said, it's about having a community mindset of not living for yourself, living to bless others and help them reach your dreams. That's actually the way to find real happiness, fulfillment, and health, even in your own body. And number 5 way you can live the TCM and Ayurvedic mindset is do natural treatments. Don't go synthetic, don't go the chemical route. Use natural treatments like acupuncture, chiropractic care, lymphatic drainage massage therapy, and doing natural movements like yoga, Pilates and exercise, but just getting out movement, get in nature more. But again, natural holistic treatments like acupuncture and chiropractic and those types of things, that's the Ayurvedic and traditional Chinese medicine way as well. And if you can follow these tips I talked about, I know your health is going to be much, much better for it following these Eastern principles.